Yeah, you hear the All the Rage with Shelley Wade theme music? That's by my friend Jelando Johnson, who is my guest on the All the Rage with Shelley Wade podcast today. I am so super excited for you to get to know Jelando a lot better, and I'm so excited to share his new music with you. Yeah, during the pandemic, he wrote a new song called Precious Time, and I'm going to play that for you on the podcast as well. Can't wait to share all of it with you. Before I do that, though, just want to let you know how much I love you for taking the time to listen. You know, I'm all about the love. I'm all about the positive energy. I always feel like, listen, if you take the time to listen to me, whether it's on the podcast or on the radio, if you take the time to interact with me on social media, I want to make sure that I'm contributing positively to your day because, we are inundated with negativity so much. We're bombarded with negativity. It's just hitting us in the head every day, all day long. And sometimes it's really heartbreaking how human beings treat each other. So I just want to be that person that contributes positively to your day. So that's why I say, All the Rage with Shelley Wade, your dose of pop culture and positivity. Because, yeah, we're going to give you the pop culture. We're going to give you the entertainment. We're going to have some laughs, but we're also going to do it in a positive way. So it's all love with me. And I appreciate you showing me love by listening to the podcast. And if you haven't already, showed me love by subscribing to it as well. My YouTube channel, subscribe to that too. It's called All the Rage with Shelley Wade. My Facebook page is also called All the Rage with Shelley Wade. And you can find me on Twitter and Clubhouse at Shelley Wade. Don't forget, it's Shelley with an E. So SHELLEYWADE. Follow me on Clubhouse and Twitter. As a matter of fact, I have a Clubhouse show called All the Rage with Shelley Wade. So follow me on there, and you can find me on Instagram at the one and only Shelley Wade. So got it? Good. I'll be talking to you on social media. Right now, I'm sharing my conversation with the super talented Jelando Johnson with you. First of all, how are you?
I cannot complain. I am blessed.
That's really awesome. Full disclosure, you and we go back like babies and pacifiers. You're my college buddy. And you studied radio and television as well, right?
A little bit,
But
more on the writing side. But my degree was journalism.
yeah. So you were a musician all along. Why didn't you major in, say, music?
I was a music major when I first got to Texas Southern University, which is the TSU that matters, by the way.
Oh, shots fired! Shots fired! The only TSU that matters.
So I was a music major, but I don't think I was serious enough because I saw the curriculum, and there was a lot of classes that I didn't want to take. I just really wanted to play the bass and learn more about that. But there were really no classes that taught that. There were a lot of classical classes, but I really wasn't into classical at that time. I just wanted to play. I just wanted to play the bass and learn more about that. And there weren't really any classes about that with that. So I just and also I heard about some students that were there, which for what seemed like forever, taking forever to get out, and I did not want any part of that. So even though I changed my major to communications, I still was involved with the music. And another crucial part about that is that it helped pay for school.
Can you explain that?
I got a scholarship playing in the jazz ensemble.
Oh, wow.
I was because I was really not really supposed to be in the area. I think I was just walking and just kind of just walking around, not really no place to go, just wandering around. And I got over to the music department, and I met the director of the jazz ensemble, Howard Harris, and he had actually heard about me playing as a player, and basically offered me a scholarship on the spot because they needed a bass player in the jazz ensemble.
Oh, that is so freaking awesome. I love that. I love that.
So that ended up paying for school, and so there was no complaints there.
I'm sure. let's rewind because you and I know each other from college, but certainly there was a Jelando Johnson in existence before Shelley Wade met him. so let's dig deeper into him. Born and raised in Houston.
Yes, indeed.
I know
Yes,
you didn't go to Jack Yates High School, which already right there puts you at a default. But
well, I think I chose the right school.
what high school did you
Actually,
go to?
I went to James Madison, and actually, I didn't have any. Well, we didn't have any choice in that, but my parents. I thank my parents for allowing me to go to the right high school.
Do you have siblings? You said we.
Right. I have a sister and two brothers.
Where do you fall in there?
I am the oldest out of the four.
Oh wow! And your parents had four kids like my parents, but it's kind of the mirror image. Well, not the mirror image, but you had one sister and there were three boys. Well, my mom had one boy and then there were three sisters,
Oh my.
and the brother is the oldest.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah,
have a big brother.
I have a big brother. I do. My big brother. Yeah,
Oh,
and he
okay.
was he was always he always loomed larger than life. Not only because he's like 6'6", but also because he just always excelled. He was a basketball player when he went to Yates. He played on the basketball team, and they took our high school to the state championship and won it. And then he went on to play for the University of Houston basketball when they were Phi Slamma Jamma, and they went to the Final Four.
Oh
And
yeah.
and
Oh
so
yeah.
my brother always loomed large, and so not only was he my big brother naturally, but he was my big brother because he was bigger than life. Um, yeah,
Was
but
it? Was he real? Was he real protective?
you know what? Stacey was always protective of us, and we still get on his nerves, but he loves us. We can be the annoying little sisters even now, but he loves us.
Ah, gotcha,
were
gotcha.
you,
Yeah.
were you, and are you a good big brother?
I believe I am. Now, I will say that my sister thought that she ran everything.
Well, women tend to do that. We tend to run everything.
I let her think that.
Didn't
So,
you hear Beyonce's song, Who Run the World, Girls?
I think that was not. I think that was a song that was released, but I don't think she meant that. I don't think she meant that.
You don't think those were hashtag facts?
No.
Okay, so how old were you when you got into music, Jelando?
Well, I was about 6 or 7 years old. I was playing piano. I started playing piano at that time.
Wow, you've been doing this seriously for a long time now.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't sure about the piano because there was some stuff I wanted to play on the radio, but they wasn't teaching me that. I was learning other stuff, which was cool, but I wanted to listen. I wanted to learn the Cool in the Gang stuff and the Commodores. I wanted to learn that music.
Well, you didn't want to hear Bach? You didn't want to play Bach and all that? You wanted to
Nah,
play the... Wait a minute. You're like weighing it. Bach, the Commodores. Let's see here.
yeah, that's what I was into. So, but I was still digging it, and I did it for a good while. But all along, I wanted to play the bass.
Why so?
It was just something about the low tones that just grabbed me. And then I come to find out that my grandfather was a bass singer in a quartet. So, and actually, we have some other bass players in the family, in the spread out family. So, come to find out that it really runs in the family, the bass and the singing or the playing of it. So I just fell right in.
I think about bass, Jelando, is, like there are more flashy instruments. For example, my favorite instrument is the guitar. It's flashy, and then people pay a lot of attention to the lead singer. But just like the drums, the bass is like the backbone of the song, right?
Oh yeah, actually the bass is the actual leader of the band.
Really now? I don't think I've ever heard that. Explain that to us.
Well, no, you never heard it because nobody will ever say it but a bass player.
But I think you're being biased when you say that.
Well, I'll prove it to you this way. We can play a note, and we can change the whole course of a song just by playing a note or several notes. We can determine the whole course of a song. Now, a singer might disagree with that. Even the keyboard player or drummer, they might disagree, but I dare them to find an instance where a bass is not really controlling the narrative of the song. So something to think about.
Okay, I've never heard that in my whole life, but I will take. Listen, you're more of a musician than I am, so I'll take your word for it. Okay, so let's get back to you were playing the piano, and by the way, I always hear musicians say all the time that is a really great way to start, because once you know the piano, it's easier to learn everything else. Do you find that to be the case with you?
Oh yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Because the whole orchestra is really represented in the piano, from the lows to the highs, from the lowest instruments to the highest instruments. It's also where arrangements are made, where people can do arrangements of songs and just compositions in general. It all really starts on the piano.
Although you switched to bass, can you still play the piano?
I can play it. I do what Babyface calls composer's keys. So I do it good enough to write songs.
Okay. Okay. You can peck a few things out, huh?
Yeah, I got some chords. I got a few chords. I stole some chords from Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, I'll be honest with you.
So, you got into bass and you fell in love and never thought of playing another instrument as your main?
Well, I have, but bass has always been just my love. That's what I always come back to,
Okay.
and that's what I always listen for. And then I started getting into bass players, listening to them, and just grabbed my attention immediately.
Who are your all-time favorite bass players?
Let's see, Louis Johnson, from the Brothers Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Yes, indeed. I can't forget my man Verdine White, Earth, Wind and Fire.
Verdine, be working that perm, man.
He works it, but he's
You
a
ever
great
thought
player.
about having a perm like Verdine?
I wanted one back in the 80s.
You, you and Verdine and Prince, huh? Sorry, I'm being silly.
Yeah,
As you
yeah,
were.
yeah. Now Prince was different with his perm. His perm was he didn't have the shag like Verdine had, and that's and Lionel Richie, they had the shags, but Prince was more like perm like
Hey, did you ever imagine when we would do this interview that we'd be talking about perms and the different types of perms?
No, I didn't.
He's like, damn it! I came on here to talk about music. Why are we talking about perms?
It's
Love it.
and also James Jamerson, and for those that don't know, he was the bass player for all of the Motown music that shaped America, pretty much. All of those
Like
Motown
what is
hits.
that? I'm listening. Doom, 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 doom.
That's him.
The Temptations. Is that him? Oh my
That's
God!
him.
As soon as you said bass and Motown, I thought about my girl from the Temptations.
Exactly.
That's him.
That's him.
Oh man.
And then all I heard it through the grapevine, Marvin Gaye and Gladys Knight.
Yes.
Just my imagination. All that bass playing, that's him, James Jamerson. And matter of fact, there's a movie called Standing in the Shadows of Motown, which talks about the band that never really got credit for all that music that they played for, all the people that they played before, because back then they didn't have credits for the band, so nobody knew who they were.
Yeah.
So,
And I've heard
but
that. I've heard the title of that movie before, but I've never seen it. I'm gonna have to check it out.
you gotta see it. It's eye opening, happy, sad in some cases, but it's a great informative tool. So anyway, James Jamerson. As far as upright, the upright bass, not Ron, but Paul Chambers, that was my man. He played. Make more familiar with him. He played with Miles Davis,
Oh, okay.
and so there's a song called "So What." He played it. That's him playing that bass lead, and so that was in the jazz world. Paul Chambers, and then it's James Jamerson, Jaco Pastorius, Verdine White, Louis Johnson, Anthony Jackson, which is another big influence because he played the song from "For the Love of Money."
Oh wow!
That worldwide bass line.
Yes, that is cold, man.
That's him, Anthony Jackson.
Wow.
And I got a chance to meet him too.
Well, first of all, isn't it interesting? You know, you're pointing out all of these bass lines out, and in most of those instances, I hadn't thought about who was playing those. So I'm appreciative that you're just pointing out to me these people, and now I want to go back and listen, and then do my research on them.
Yeah, well, that's what I do in my shows when I have my with my group when I'm playing my concerts with my original music. I have a segment in my show where it's just me and the bass, and I'm playing the familiar bass lines that people know of and heard of, but may not be. They're not familiar with the people who play them.
Yeah.
But I point. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying because you just think about the singing of it for the love of money. You don't really think about do do. You don't think about because I mean that song is instantly recognizable because of that bass line, and I
Exactly.
had never thought about who was playing it.
Oh yes, exactly. And so I play those bass lines, and I tell people all the time that for one thing, the best songs, and I know I'm going to sound biased again, but the best songs, the songs that stand the test of time, starts with the bass.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and do my due diligence on that. You're
And
like,
when you and when you make the connection, let me know.
I will. I will. Jerry was right. So, I was going to ask you, but I think you've already answered this. When you decided, because there are so many people who decide to go into the arts, right? And their parents may be like, that, they're trying to save you a world of hurt. That's not lucrative, or, I want you to be a doctor or a nurse or something like that. You said earlier that you have people in your family who've already been singers and bass players. So I'm assuming that your parents were not against you choosing this for a career.
No, they weren't. I'm sure they had their doubts and had their reserves about it, but they just let me go with it.
That's really, and I have to say that's really refreshing to have parents that are supportive of you in that way, because I've met so many people who say, I wanted to do this and I wanted to do that, but my parents wouldn't let me. They wanted me to go and do this and do that. So it had to have been
Yeah.
very, very reaffirming and refreshing to have that kind of support from your parents.
Yes, and one of the things that really made me proud before my dad passed away, my mom would my mom would tell me whenever when I would do like playing at the Motown show that they have here in Houston, Memorial Day weekend, he would be just so proud to see me up there playing in the orchestra, and let people know around him know that's my son up there.
That's my boy. That's my boy right there.
So that was I tell you that's a priceless moment. That's a priceless story that my mom tells of my dad doing that. And so
I
and
love
and
that. I love that.
and it keeps me, and that's one of the things that also keeps me going, knowing that he's looking down on me while I'm doing this.
And looking down on you as your biggest fan, aside from, your mom.
Right.
When you would play those shows, would it be at, I'm picturing, as soon as you said that, I was picturing, God, what's the, Herman Park,
Yeah, Miller Outdoor Theater.
Miller Outdoor Theater, yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, and not. This is neither here nor there, but whenever I think of Miller Outdoor Theater, I always think about as a kid just rolling down that hill.
Hippie Hill, right?
So much fun, man! So much fun.
It's called Hippie Hill. It's
Yeah.
yes, indeed. I love that hill. I go over there to exercise.
Yeah,
And so
walk around the park and such.
yes, indeed. So yeah, I love that. I love that park in general.
Yeah, back to your music, Jelando. So, when you were in college, majoring in journalism, and yet um, being on scholarship for being in the jazz ensemble, you were thinking all along that your fate was being a professional musician. Not once did you ever think, maybe I do want to be a journalist.
I kind of thought that. I started, especially as I started getting close to graduation,
Mm-hmm.
and or basically when I was interning with the Houston Sun and the Houston Informer and the
Mm-hmm.
Defender and
Mm-hmm.
other things, I started to thinking, well, maybe I will end up being a journalist. You know,
Would you have
uh,
been like a music journalist, you think?
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking more like maybe more like a news reporter, which is not really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I saw things moving that way, so I said, well, maybe this is what I end up doing.
Yeah.
You
No, I
know.
could see you could have totally, and you could still now actually, you could still now be a music journalist because you are an insider. You have
True.
access to the musicians themselves. And so you could still do that. That could be, how everybody they call this the slash generation. I'm a musician slash journalist. you know, so you could
Yeah.
totally do that for sure.
Wait, and you need to have multiple revenue streams anyway.
Exactly. And as I said, you've got the inside scoop, right? You've got the direct line to the musicians. You don't have to reach out to their PR persons and request an interview. You can pick up your phone and call them.
Yeah, and the thing I would rather do is basically talk about them, what they're doing. I never want to give my opinion about somebody's art or expression. You know.
Yeah, well, that would be, critiques, like that's why people always say you should be a music critic or a movie critic. And I'm like, I've never wanted to be a critic because, again, as you're saying, it's someone else's art. I may like it or not, I may agree with it or not, but I never want to be that person that's charged with giving a negative review.
Right.
So, yeah, so I don't think I could be the critic at all. Yeah, I am more interested, as you and I are doing, just having conversations with people. So,
Exactly.
yeah, so I think it'd be interesting if you did go into, doing journalism, flex your journalism muscles. I think it would be refreshing hearing the conversations. I used to watch this musician, and I can't think of his name, but years ago, he's passed since then. But one of my favorite shows on TV is CBS Sunday Morning. I think it's just such a quality show. Um, and there was this musician. I'm thinking Bobby something. I can't think of his name, but he was a musician, legendary musician. But he would also do interviews with other musicians for CBS Sunday Morning, and it just really felt very. I don't know. It felt very legitimate seeing him going in and doing these interviews with these musicians because it felt like an insider. You were getting this.
Yeah.
You were like a fly on the wall, hearing conversations between these two people who know this so well. You weren't. I didn't really feel like I was watching a journalist interviewing a musician. I felt like this was me getting a. I'm getting to a peek in on their conversation that they would have. If they were just hanging out and having a drink at the bar or something.
Yeah, he's probably like hanging out. Just how musicians we just sit around and we talk about music and other
Mm-hmm.
things,
Mm-hmm.
and that sound like what this guy was doing, and actually, that's not a bad idea.
And I look forward to you doing it.
All right, all
bring,
right.
bring your voice to the conversation because it would be really nice.
You got me thinking.
So, let me ask you this. I know you have some new music out, and we're going to get to that. But this last year, I'm always interested in talking to musicians about this last year, with, oh God, the pandemic, with COVID, and how it just really just it upended everyone's life. But musicians, you guys, you really rely on doing live performances and such. And you're in Houston, Texas opened up well before a lot of states did. But I know there must have been a moment where you felt unsure about what was going on. Can you share your feelings about your experience as a musician in this last year of the pandemic?
Sure can. it felt weird not playing. It felt weird not being in on stage in front of people. Basically, our second, third homes, whatever. It was different. People asking, or people basically saying, I miss you guys playing. I wish I was out. I wish that you all was doing your thing because I missed that. And people would, tell me that all the time. And it's like being helpless. I can't do nothing about it because there's no place that's open, and all the places are closed, and everybody's it's a scary time right now, and but not being able to play and do what we love to do, it just felt so weird. And I look back on that time now as things are starting to open back up, and it's kind of like, wow, how did we get through that?
How long were you on the sidelines?
Um, let's see. Well, the pandemic was declared in March. I would say by the summer, I was doing some gigging, but it was mainly private.
Yeah.
It was wedding receptions because I play in a corporate band, and we do a lot of wedding receptions. The band I was telling you about, I was with in Beaumont this weekend. So we did a wedding reception up in Conroe, or outside of Conroe, and nobody had on a mask out there. But
Did you feel at risk? Did you feel scared, afraid?
I did. I'll be honest with you, I did. So I kept my mask on for the whole. When we was, of course, when we was eating, I had it off. But even when we was on stage, or when I had to get out in front of the crowd or around them on the break during our breaks, I kept my mask on because I was nervous.
Yeah, but I would assume that, so one would say, well, why did you do it if you were nervous? I mean, you have to make a living, right? Is that why you ended up doing it?
Yes, it was, and also to be playing again.
Yeah, because Jelando, you play, how many times would you say a week? On a normal, quote unquote, normal week?
4.
4. And then at its worst during the pandemic, how many times were you playing?
1, maybe 2.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really did. It really did upend everyone's lives, and it's really scary if I mean, no one could have predicted this. Actually, I mean, we were hearing rumblings of this, like late 2019, but who would have thought? I don't think we've ever seen anything like this.
No, not. We could never to for the world to shut down, just basically shut down the way
Yeah,
it did.
yeah.
Who could have saw that?
We couldn't have predicted it, and even, the best savers and the best, there are some people who were lucky enough to be employed the entire time. There were so many people who lost their jobs, and so many people who lost their means of income. Um, so yeah, I can see why you just decided, hey, I'm gonna do this, even at the risk of possibly, being around people who are not socially distancing and masking properly.
Yeah, the tech people won though. The
Oh, for
tech
sure.
man, they
The
won.
Zoom people? Are you kidding me?
Amazon, Jeff Bezos,
Oh
and
my
all.
God. And there are people, listen, not only the Amazon, like people who are ordering necessities, there are people who like are hooked on shopping on Amazon and those kind of platforms because it just, I don't know, I don't want to say it's a form of entertainment, but I don't know, seeing those packages arrive give people some sort of sense of gratification.
Yeah.
You're so right. Amazon, a killing, man. They made a killing during the pandemic. I mean, they make a killing on a regular day, but during the
Exactly. Yes.
pandemic, you're so right. Tech totally won.
Yes, they did. So I'm starting to think I'm in the wrong business.
It's like, what am I doing with this base? Well, packages. I should have a package, not a base. I know, you're right. You're so right.
Oh man, you start to because you have so much time. You start thinking. You just start thinking about things, and it's just you just can't help it.
I know, but you know what? There also, there were some silver linings to this whole disaster. Creative people like us, you had to really find creative ways to express yourself. And so I think that a lot of people did some amazing creative things.
Yeah, I agree with that. I did a few things online on Facebook. I did some tributes to some bass players.
Really?
I sure did. I did and a few other things, to generate some income. I had the Cash App and my Venmo and all of that on my post when I was doing that. So I was trying to think some things to keep some money coming in. And
Yeah.
but then another thing that helped too is that there were a lot of grants and opportunities for musicians and creatives to get money from different organizations, and so that helped out a lot too.
Yeah.
Music Cares, the Grammy Foundation, Houston Arts Alliance, Mid America Arts Alliance. Those things they had where you could apply for some financial assistance, and it came in handy. So and as you were saying, the opportunity for me to really focus on my own music,
Yeah.
that's which is something that I should not have slacked off in before the pandemic. But this made it real clear that I needed to start focusing, get back focused on my original music,
Whereas before your focus was on what?
gigging.
Gigging, okay. Performing, earning a living.
That's it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, listen, it's why you fell in love with what you do, is expressing yourself. And your music should be out there. And that's a perfect segue to why we're talking in the first place. You've got new music out. What's your new album out? Has it come out yet?
So no, there's no new album, not right now. Right now, I'm just doing
New
singles.
singles. You know what? And that makes sense, Jelando, because there are a lot of musicians who are doing that. Because in this day and age, people, they, consume songs, you know? And so
Yeah.
you have a new song called Precious Time, and it's featuring singer Andre James. Did this song come about during the pandemic?
It did.
And what was your motivation? What's the song about? Tell us all about it.
So Precious Time is inspired by the events of the pandemic of the past year, and it was actually going to be an instrumental, being that I mainly do jazz, but I decided to do something a little different on this song. So I came up with the melody for it, but I hadn't had the words. The words hadn't came to me yet until I was walking around Tom Badge Park
Yeah.
on that trail by the lake, and then the words just came to me just like that. The song was written by the time I got off that trail.
That's how you know it's supposed to be, right? It just kind of comes to you naturally.
You're right. That's right. And it's
Yeah.
never done that. It's so I was trying to figure out what to say, how to say it, and then there it was. I was on the trail, so I had to give praise to God for that.
Yeah, yeah. And how did it come about you collaborating with Andre James for this?
Andre came to mind um, because his actually I had someone else to sing it, but that didn't work out. So his voice came to my mind as the music came together, and I've been working with Andre for years. We've been playing together in different performances and all, and so I called him. I said, "Man, I need you. I got something for you. I got something that I think that you will fit." And so he came right on in and flowed. It was easy. It was great.
Yeah. Well, we're going to play the song before we get out of here. But you know what I like to do? I like to, at the end of my interviews, my conversations, I like to ask a number of questions because I feel like, you and I talking right now, we get to know about you. But these 10 questions, they get information out of you that we really wouldn't have known unless we asked these specific questions. So,
Uh oh.
are you game for answering them?
Let's go.
So I have a bonus question as well because you're a big jazz person. I'm a big jazz fan. I am, I'm so into jazz that even when I was a teenager, I would go to jazz concerts and I'd be like, there would be all these older people there and I'd be this only young kid there with my other friend, um like at a Nancy Wilson concert and they're like, what is this child doing here? But I just really love jazz a lot and I'm a huge fan of Nat King Cole, so I guess I wanted to know your thoughts on Nat.
Smooth, smooth as butter. I mean, that cat was so, he had it together. And with the time that he was in, you would never know what was affecting him and what he had to deal with when he performed. He was just so smooth. That's the best way I could describe him.
Yeah, I guess to elaborate on that, if people don't know the story of Nat King Cole, he was just so. When he first started, he was a jazz pianist, right? A lot of people.
Yes, he was.
A lot of jazz people know that, but people who know him for his singing didn't really think of him in that way. But his second wife, I believe, Maria, she was like, "Listen, you need to come from behind that piano and sing because, hello, like you said, his voice is butter." But before he was singing as a pianist, but he let the music take the lead. Many people knew him as a jazz pianist. And then
And he was probably thought more as a better pianist than a singer.
exactly. So great jazz lovers know that that was, where jazz people loved him the most. But, as you said, that voice is butter. And I'm a huge Nat fan. And if I had one dream, I would want to go back. One wish, if they asked us, let's say if they asked us, they said they could grant us like 3 wishes. One of my wishes would be to go back and see Nat King Cole perform live because, he passed away before you and I were born. So
Right?
I would love to see him perform live. Okay, so thanks for indulging me in that, in my Nat conversation. So here's the official Q&A. What was your favorite toy when you were a kid, Jelando?
Lionel trains.
Really? Are you a train enthusiast?
I sure am.
Have you,
If I wasn't a musician, I'd be working for the railroad.
really now? Have you ever taken a train?
I have, and we took Amtrak when we were kids. We got on my family. We went where did it go? In Temple. Went to Temple, Texas, and came back. But I would love to take a cross country trip on Amtrak.
Yeah, I see some of these. If you go to Amtrak's YouTube or anything, I see some of these incredible voyages they have. I don't know if voyages is the right word because it's not a ship, but whatever you call it with trains, they have some going through the mountains and some through. It's just beautiful. I used to be afraid of flying. I mean, I flew because it was a necessary evil because I like to go places. I'm not as afraid of flying as I used to, but I am more preferential to trains.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I've taken quite a few Amtraks, especially when I lived in New York. I would take the Acela to DC or
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to
I would love to do that.
Yeah, I would take it to Boston. I even took Jelando. I took the train from New York City Penn Station to Montreal in Canada.
Oh wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it was in the winter. So it was interesting seeing the lay of the land and then all of the snow frozen, everything frozen over and, crossing over from the States to Canada. It was an interesting experience. It really was.
Yeah, I do rail fanning sometime.
Yeah,
And
you should
so,
you should
yeah.
totally do that. You should, and what I want to do because I never did it. I want to take the train from Paris to Europe because I've done that. I've done that. I think we did it via ferry when I went there in like 2000, but I've never done the train. And I hear it's a bullet train and it's really cool. So I want to do
Oh,
I want
okay.
to do stuff like that. I did think that when I was in Paris in 2017, I took the train from Paris to the wine region of Paris, which was pretty cool as well.
Cool, cool. I would love to do that.
Okay, another question. What did you want to be when you were growing up? You already answered that, but aside from musician, was there anything else aside from that and a train conductor?
That's it.
That's pretty much it. Okay. What about your favorite song of all time?
Let's see. I have one jazz and one vocal.
Okay.
Now, the jazz one is Roy Ayers. Everybody loves the sunshine,
Oh, okay.
and the vocal. And this is a surprise because my favorite band is Earth, Wind and Fire, but they're the ones that really made me decide that I wanted to be a musician once and
Okay.
for all.
Okay.
But my favorite vocal is Billy Joel. I love Just the Way You Are.
Oh, that's a great song. Why do you think
Yeah,
that resonates with you so much?
I think it's because it's the song. It says it admonishes the woman to stay as she is. Um,
Don't go changing.
and if you listen to a lot of the songs that men sing, we like our women to stay the same, even though we know it's a pipe dream. We like our women to like um shoot. Go back to the verses song. The verses. Isley Brothers. That song. Don't change, girl.
Everything the same, yeah. Yep.
Or the Earth, Wind and Fire. Be ever wonderful. Be ever wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Stay as you are. You know. And so this song, and it has some. I love you the way just the way you are. Has some clever lyrics to it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially the one when he says, "I don't want no clever conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to work that hard. I just want someone I could talk to. I want you just the way you are." I just
Yeah.
love the lyrics in that song.
Yeah. Don't you love it when anything like even if it's fashion or lyrics, I love it when they're simple yet they're profound like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
You know, that's so interesting that you say that though. It kind of touched a nerve with me as a woman. You're right. You hear men say all the time they want you just the way you are. But somehow society makes women feel like we're not enough. You know? Because
Hmm.
you do. It would be nice to have someone who loved you just as you are. But the message to women, and I'm speaking as a woman, is always you're not enough. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. I
And
got
so
you.
so it's hard to just be just be the way you are when you're always hearing the message that you're not enough.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're always hearing that. I mean, even when you look at the videos, the women have to be this and that. They're not, you don't see like quote unquote regular normal women. You see women who are like supermodels or they're this kind of definition of perfection or this kind of, whatever people say is perfection. Yet you say you want us just the way we are, but the message is consistently you are not enough. You know?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's something to think about. Um, okay, you've already said it. Your favorite artist of all time, EWF, The Elements.
Yes,
What's your favorite movie of all time?
the Blues Brothers.
Why that one?
It's a combination of music and comedy.
It is. Are you a big comedy fan?
I love comedy. Yes,
Okay. Yeah, Aretha Franklin was in that movie.
she was Ray Charles.
Oh yeah, Ray Charles was in that movie, wasn't he?
Ray Charles, yeah. The Booker T and the MGs.
Wow. What is that? Is Booker
Um,
T from Houston? Is that the one from Houston?
no, he's from Memphis. They're
Who
from
am I
Memphis.
thinking
Matter.
about? Who am I thinking about? The one from Houston.
Book,
Tighten up, straighten up.
Archie Bell and the Drells.
Trails. Okay, got it, got it. Okay, I'm listening.
I'm Archie Bell from the Drells from Houston, Texas. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's him. Hmm. But yeah, that was Booker T and the MGs. They were the backup band for Stax Records.
Oh, yeah. That's the record label that had like Isaac Hayes and such, right?
Al Green, yeah.
Yeah.
Otis Redding.
Oh man, some legends.
Oh man, yes indeed.
Oh man.
Like the Motown of the South.
Okay, do you have a favorite movie? We said movie. You have a favorite actor or actress of all time?
That's a good one. I'd have to get back to you on that
Yeah,
one.
we can come back to it if it comes to your head. Just shout it out.
Okay. All right.
What's your favorite sport?
I know it's gonna sound a little interesting, but I love baseball.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Why would you think that sounds interesting?
Um, being that I'm in Texas, this is a football country, and
Yeah.
I love football. But there's something about baseball. I think it's for one thing, it's the anticipation. People say it moves too slow, but to me, it's more of an anticipation type of thing. Like what's going to happen, what kind of pitch is going to come when the pitch from the pitcher to the catcher. What is it going to be? A fastball, a curveball, a slider, a sinker? Is the batter going to be able to recognize it and swing and connect with it, or is it gonna strike out? Is it gonna hit him? Is it gonna foul off? There's so many intricacies, and with baseball that intrigues me.
How much satisfaction did you feel when the Astros won the championship?
Oh, I was out partying downtown with everybody else. I think I stayed up to about 5 a.m. and then went to Waterburger and got something.
Hey, listen, I live in San Diego right now, and I mean, there's a lot of Dodgers fans here, and the Astros beat the Dodgers, and
Yes,
I was,
sir.
when I came home after they won, when I came home for Christmas, when I came to Houston for Christmas, oh my God, I could not wait to get me an Astros hoodie, a championship hoodie. And so I would wear it around Southern California with pride, and I would get so many nasty looks.
I bet you did.
And then when the Astros cheating scandal came along, I was like, wah, 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 wah.
Well.
But like, don't all teams cheat? I'm not justifying cheating, but I'm like, is this something the Astros invented?
No, not at all.
That's what I was trying to say.
Matter of fact, the Yankees and the Red Sox, they cheated, but they're the storied franchises, so nothing's going to happen to them. I think the Dodgers did as well, and even with the cheating, so-called cheating, the Astros still had to get out there and execute. They still had to hit the ball. They still had to, they still had to do what they had to do to win. So the cheating maybe gave them a slight advantage, but not to the point to where it determined anything, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Hey, listen, I know Texas opened up their stadium full. What about the Astros? What's going to happen with the
I think
Astros?
they're still about 25%.
Okay.
Yeah, the Rangers up in DFW, yeah,
Yeah.
they're open 100%.
What are your thoughts on how the Astros are looking for this coming season?
Not bad. They're 6-3 right now. They got to play the Tigers tonight. And Dusty Baker, the manager now, I really hope and believe that he can win his first World Series this year.
No, let's hope. From your lips to God's ears, right?
Amen.
If you had a choice, Yolando, what would your last ever meal be?
Chicken fried steak.
Oh my God, you did not miss a beat with that. Why are you so sure about that one?
I love a chicken fried steak.
What would your sides be?
Black eyed peas and rice.
I was hoping you would say mashed potatoes and gravy.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. There,
Maybe, hey,
yes,
listen, it's your last meal. Maybe you can have it all. Black eyed
ma-
peas, mashed potatoes.
I would have the mashed potatoes, that and green beans. That would be for the side. If the other two sides. If I couldn't have black eyed peas and rice
What
and
about your
cornbread,
drink? What about your cornbread? Wait a minute, my mom always made sweet cornbread. Would your cornbread be sweet or what?
it would be. I think it'd be more buttery.
Okay, okay. And what would your drink be with that meal?
Sweet tea.
Of course it would be. That
Yes,
sounds like a good meal, Jelando.
it'd be diabetes sweet too.
I love it. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
I quote a scripture.
You quote a scripture? The same
This,
one?
right, every morning. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad about it.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And
And
then I say thank you for waking me up today.
finally, what's the last thing you do before you go to bed?
What's the last thing I normally do? I just go through social media and oh no. I go through social media or I would go on YouTube and try and find out some information on marketing and stuff like that, or look for old shows of Cosby, and not the Cosby Show, but Cosby that came on after the Cosby Show. Do you remember that
Gotcha.
one?
I do. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so I feel like we sufficiently know you. I'm sure there's so many more layers about you, but I think we have some good info for you on you right
Wonderful.
now. Thank you for sharing everything, Jelando. I appreciate you. Would you share all of your social media with us?
I sure will. So I have Facebook, Jelando Johnson Music, and then Instagram and what's the other one?
Twitter?
Twitter. Yeah, at Jelando Johnson Music. I'm on TikTok, Jelando J. Um, I've just started to learn how about Twitch and WhatsApp, so I don't have anything for that yet.
Okay.
And then of course my website, JelandoJohnson.com, which is where you can find all of my music. I do have a YouTube channel, Jelando Johnson. Um, and then you can also find me on all of the streaming platforms where my music is, which includes Pandora. I have a radio station on Pandora.
Yeah, and you guys support Jelando. It's completely talented and a music aficionado. So support Jelando and all his music, and you hear me talking about him every episode because the theme music I play for the episode is Jelando's music. So support him because he is supportive of my podcast and such. Jelando, introduce your new song, Precious Time, for everyone.
So this is my new song, my latest single, which is definitely adequate for these times that we're in and what we've been experiencing and inspired by that. Precious time, because that is all that we have.
Featuring Andre James. Thank you,
Featuring
Jelando.
and thank you, Shelley Wade, even though you went to Yates. But thank you, Shelley. I love you.
Love you more.
Precious time is all that we have. nothing more, nothing less. So let's live our best. Precious time, precious time is all we have. Nothing more, nothing less. So let's live our best. It's all that we have.
Great song, right? Brand new music from Jelando Johnson featuring the super talented Andre James, Precious Time. And isn't that true? Ain't that the truth? If there's one thing we learned during the pandemic is that time is precious. I don't know about you, but, I know there were some times that I took for granted, you're just taking for granted that you can breathe in fresh air without a mask and that you can, just be around a ton of people without social distancing. I mean, we took that for granted before the pandemic, and there were so many people who lost their lives, and so that song speaks to what is true. Time is precious. We learned that during the pandemic. If we hadn't known it before, we learned that this last year. And thanks to Jelando Johnson for capturing it in song. Be sure to purchase Precious Time by Jelando Johnson featuring Andre James and show him some love, show him some support. Jelando shared with me that video for Precious Time is going to world premiere on his Jelando Johnson YouTube channel this Friday, April 16th. Listen, if you're checking this podcast out after April 16th, the video is already up on the channel, Jelando Johnson channel on YouTube. Be sure to check it out. Jelando and I, like I said, we've been friends for so many years. We went to college together. We were college buddies, but I enjoyed getting to know him right along with you because there were so many things that I learned about him that I didn't casually know about him from hanging out, over the years. And so I really enjoyed getting to know Jelando a lot better. Be sure to follow him across all of his social media channels and continue to support his music. And just like that, another edition of the All the Rage with Shelley Wade podcast is in the books. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and spread the word to your family members and friends and tell them about the podcast. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe they'll want to subscribe as well. Subscribe also to my All the Rage with Shelley Wade YouTube channel, where many of the times you can catch out the video versions of the interviews that I do for the podcast. And my Facebook is also called All the Rage with Shelley Wade. My Instagram is called The One and Only Shelley Wade. I do this cool thing on my Facebook and Instagram pages on most days called the Prince Fam of the Day. If you know me, you know I am a huge Prince lover, have been since I was in elementary school, and I thought it'd be cool to shine the purple spotlight on my fellow Prince lovers, and I do that daily with the Prince Fam of the Day, and it's been so cool getting to know all of these Prince fans from all over the world. And listen, if you are a Prince lover and would like to nominate yourself, or if you would like to nominate another Prince lover in your life, DM me on my social media, and I'll get back to you with all the details on what you need to do to be featured. I'm also on Clubhouse and Twitter at Shelley Wade. And don't forget, it's Shelley with an E, SHELLEY WADE. As always, love you for listening, and I'll talk to you next episode. Mwah.